Hello, you lovelies, and welcome to KoiCast. We are somehow into April 2023. I may only bring up the date every so often now because it scares Jake that time is moving so quickly, but this one has to be March.
I'm old.
It's April 2023, which is bananas. I'm Koi Jandro, a Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and the calendar. Jake is with me here today, as he always is, on the ones and twos, and with the opinions of the Zack Snyderverse. I'm very intrigued by what this year shapes up to be, because I feel like now that we're into April, we'll have a different understanding of like the shape of it. When 2022 ended, I was like, 2023 is just stacked. Like, who's gonna be angry? Everything you'd want's coming out. Instead, everyone's been angry.
Well, it is interesting because a lot of things that came to fruition were disappointing. I think it's been kind of a rough.
I think also positivity doesn't get to live like in the space. Like,
I mean, that's
Creed
not
3 came out.
That's not new,
right?
But yes,
but there's usually a balance. Like,
Right.
usually there is positivity to at least point to like, oh, I didn't love this, but I love this. Like, Creed was beloved by everyone. It just cleared like $200 million as of recording this, and it wasn't anything like. No one had an issue with Creed. They either didn't see it because they didn't want to, or they loved it. So it's really interesting that movie had 2 weeks in the sun and is now not spoken of.
right?
Versus like all the stuff that's just complained about.
I mean, we have commodified. I mean, it's not new. It's just different because
It's just
everything.
gotten worse.
Well, I was gonna say is what I was gonna say. I'm talking.
Sorry.
I'm talking to myself here. We have commodified pop culture coverage in such a way. Now that's not new. It was always that way in newspapers and whatnot with opinion pieces and film critics. But I think because of social media, it now moves at such a clip.
Yeah.
And the reality is negativity sells, and so it's just going to. People want to hear about shit that was bad. They're going to want to click it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More than about stuff that was just like, hey, this is why like when we do our Patreon only pod and there's a movie we both really like, we talk about that movie for 5 minutes. And when there's a movie that one of us doesn't like, we talk about it for 15 because there's more to say about what went wrong.
Sure.
Than like, yeah, it was great. Wasn't it great? Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
And we have way more positivity
Sure.
overall, but you're right. There is more to talk about when things go wrong.
And that's not new. And I just think like the news cycle is
Yeah.
now also part of pop culture news cycle. And it's,
I now that we're, in April as of when you're hearing this, but also like, we're in mid-March recording this. It is not the year I thought it was going to be in pop culture. I really thought that when all the pop culture that got delayed caught up, I thought there'd be a lot more.
We'd be in the streets holding hands.
I thought at least talking to each other.
Marvel and DC fans living together
In harmony, like cats and dogs just snuggling up in a park. I just like, it's just shocking how vitriolic the culture's gotten when things have been what they've asked for. Like, I know not everything's what everyone's wanted, but we've gotten almost a giant tentpole every 2 weeks, and people are still mad.
It also very much could just be simply that, it was too much, too quick.
Yeah, and it's only the rest of the year has to go on. There's something, like, I think August is the next gap, and August is a while. And then after that, it's not until the end of the year, and that's bananas. Like, by now, we've seen Mario, or I will have. I go to the theaters a lot. I love Mario. And, like, by now, we've seen at least 4 other tentpoles, and I don't know. Like, we'll have seen John Wick by now. Hopefully, I just want people to be happy somewhere.
Right.
I just hope there's some joy.
Well, speaking of some joy and what date it is, this is the first episode of April.
It is.
But we are recording, as Koi mentioned, mid-March. We're recording this a very long time ago because of my travel plans.
Yep.
As you've heard me talk about ad nauseum, we're driving across the country. Though we have probably gotten back into LA at this point, Koi and I's scheduling made it so we had to do this ahead of time. Yeah. So because we're recording this so far in the past of you listening, we don't think it's entirely fair to draw this month's official Unpunchable gift horse this episode, because there's still, for us, 2 weeks left of March where new patrons may join for April.
Yeah.
And some patrons may bail for April.
That'd be awkward.
And if we
If you're
draw...
unpunchable and you've left us, we'll have to call you out.
So we don't think it's entirely fair to draw because of the information we currently have isn't up to date. So in the next episode at the end of April, we will draw April's Unpunchable gift horse. Your reign will officially be a little bit short. But
still get the same perks.
It was a hidden Unpunchable gift horse.
Right
now there's a mystery.
Yeah,
Unpunchable
you're a
gift horse.
unicorn.
So you're out there.
We don't see you
Nobody
yet.
knows who you are
It's
yet.
very exciting. And you still get the shirt and the
You
pick.
still get all the stuff.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to let you know, you guys, in case you really enjoy that silly little thing we do. And
we enjoy it.
And you go, hey, what the heck? I gave my Patreon money and they didn't pick a winner. We'll pick it. We're just going to do it until when it's fair.
Right.
Because by the time Coy and I get together next, closer to the time of this episode being released, we will know who were the April patrons.
Also, patrons, there will be episodes on the not regular Koicast weeks because of Jake's travels.
We still have some POP coming to you. It's a little bit less than the usual because of schedule, but we still got some fun stuff coming
Both consuming art and then talking about it have been lightened because traveling.
Yeah.
And Jake had a birthday, so he wisely got out of town and didn't watch a bunch of movies because that'd be a waste of getting out of town.
I didn't watch shit.
That's great, though. Like, that's how you should be. I haven't done that since not for either family trip or getting horribly sick to the point where I couldn't focus because I had vertigo because my ear was deaf. I haven't just taken time away from the things I do. I don't think in almost a year. So I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm very jealous of your trip. So I'm going to be doing something soon. So we'll have one more of these. You can blame on me later in the year, but for now we'll get it all settled and fret not. We know that we owe you a gift horse and some patron only pods. But we got some stuff to talk about today. I had an interesting conversation a few weeks ago from recording, now months ago from you hearing this, where basically I was talking to friends that thought it was very strange how important other people's experience of art was if the art was like paramount to me. I don't say this about every movie. Yep. I don't say this about like any bit of art, but there are some things that I think are a litmus test of your experience with a person.
Right. And we're talking about movies, but just because it's fresh on the show, last week we talked all about expectations for a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And we know Gil, our resident super fan.
Yeah. Clark Gilbert.
I can imagine that like Gil could not date someone who didn't like Superman or dislike Superman. Because maybe if they're like, oh, I'm not familiar, that's fine.
Right. I can be neutral. If someone loves sports and I just don't, like, fine. I don't have anything against sports.
Right.
And I won't be like, why is it on?
And it's not just about dating. It's also just about like your compatibility with a person.
And those conversations. Having
like an emotional similarity to the way that you view things. And I'm friends with a lot of people who don't like shit that I like and vice versa.
Sure.
But there's like a level.
There's a lifetime intimacy that comes from dating and good friendships, close friendships.
Right.
That I think there is some simpatico required.
Right.
So like I had like more people than not thought it was weird.
Right.
I had more people tell me that's a strange thing to have in your life.
But then the last time that we recorded, you came in here and you told us this.
Right.
And you, Alexandra, and I just got into like a 40-minute long conversation that I'm upset we didn't just
like off
put
camera.
the mics on.
Yeah, we should have just sat down.
All about. Like, you were like, is there a movie, you asked us, is there a movie that if the other one didn't like it, like you would not have lasted?
Yeah.
And it started us thinking about, what are our litmus movies? What are the movies that you just go, yeah, if you don't enjoy this or understand why I do, because again, it's
that's
not
the
always
difference.
about that.
Yep. And it might not be 3 red flags, but it might be 1. Like it
Sure,
might, you know what I mean? It might not end things, but it's a dent.
Yeah, exactly. It might be like a few hit points towards your total
and like
maximum
that
life.
adds up. Other things come into play, but I do think it's important. Like you guys understand that I'm not saying like a girl didn't like. This isn't a Seinfeld episode. It's not like
It is for me. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it when I told you.
That's fascinating.
I literally ended a relationship with a girl over a movie, and it wasn't even a movie that I liked that much.
But it's the way it was handled.
It was about the handle,
and that's also huge. So, let's start with some of ours so people understand what it is.
Yeah, litmus movies. So it's not just like your favorite movies. I'm going to pull up Letterboxd because I think that's an easy way to kind of go like, yeah, no, this is a movie where if you don't understand it's why I love it.
It's important.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, here's a movie that I think is definitely a litmus movie is that if someone doesn't understand or enjoy once or worse off shits on it.
Oh yeah.
We're out.
Yeah.
Like I'm out. To me, like once is, we talk about stuff like Paddington, right? Where it's like, this is a movie pure. Hey, Ted Lasso's back, by the way. Came back on my birthday.
Have you watched it yet?
Oh, yes.
We're talking about that in the Patron pod.
Sure. Yeah, we are. Or we have.
We have. Look at us go.
But like we talk about those feel good things. If you think about it, once is kind of in that category.
I love that.
It's yes. He makes mistakes and he's kind of an asshole sometimes in the way that men are dumb, but it is a really pure movie.
Yeah.
And I get being like, I don't like that kind of music. And I could see why somebody would be like, not really into that kind of music. But I feel like there's a lot of music that I'm not into. But when I watch somebody perform it intimately, I go, this is great.
Yeah.
I might not turn it on and listen to it in the car, but this performance is great. And Once is just filled with those performances.
Yeah.
Where they're so intrinsically tied to the story and the character and his, I'm going to call him because that's his name, his experience.
Yeah.
And her experience then adding on to his music and making it their music. It's so pure. It's so beautiful. It's like, it has the indie spirit that I will talk to people ad nauseum about the way it was shot if they inquire. And because I watched every goddamn documentary, the making of 45 times, like listen to all the commentary, because you have two people who are non-actors acting in a movie as two leads who the second you put a camera on them just went away as people. So the director was brilliant enough to realize, all right, you guys are going to be in the coffee shop. We'll throw mics on you, but cameras are going to be out in crowds. You have no idea where we are.
Yeah. It's so special.
And you got these great performances. It's a beautiful story. The setting is fantastic. Little moments like the guy who robs them, like the comedy.
Yeah.
The guy who's like, yeah, bro. And is like, kind of like.
So that's connecting to someone on many different tiers, which is why that one's important. So I want to also stress at the end, like what it is that you see that being why it's a litmus versus why it's a good movie.
It's kind of a litmus movie for me because it is one of those things where I feel like if you can't appreciate what they achieved with what they had, and how it was, you talk about, last week we talked about how I'm not a big Oscars person. That was probably around the last time I really cared was them winning for best song. And like, here is people who nobody should know this movie exists outside of its own merit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
but it got an audience. The Oscars did help.
Oh, it helped huge.
And that's why it's important.
It's so good.
Okay. One of mine, I've got a few, but I have some that I specifically do over, and it's not like we sit down for a mega weekend, but over the course of the first few months of dating, it's important that I get this person's take on a thing. And one of those is The Matrix.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I don't know why. It's such a big, giant,
it really is
societal thing.
And if they haven't seen it, it's not like a demerit, but it's definitely like also tell me why. Like, it's a cool conversation of like, how did you miss this thing that changed society?
Sure.
So for me, The Matrix is as close to, and this is going to be like, I don't mean this to ruffle feathers, just my experience and my context. So please understand the asterisk that's coming in this next sentence. To me, The Matrix is as close to understanding religion as I have. I don't personally get theology, but I do understand believing in something you can't prove because of The Matrix. I personally, the closest I have to, I don't have a way of saying this tangibly, but simulation theory registers to me as possible. And that's the closest I come to believing in like space wizards. Like that's as close as I come to like getting like that idea of faith. Because I personally have experienced things in life where I'm like, this is written poorly, or like this coincidence is absurd, or how is this happening so exponentially, or this seems to be fueling only a thing that could go badly for us, and we're choosing to put ourselves in this position.
Sure.
So for me, The Matrix was like such a life moment. I saw it when I was 11. And so like I was at the exact right age to get the cool stuff, but not the nuance. And then the next time I saw it I saw it at 11, and then I saw it immediately when it came out. It was the first DVD I owned, and I owned the DVD before I owned a DVD player because I couldn't, like the DVD was $40. I couldn't afford the DVD player. So I bought the DVD and then started saving up for the player. That's how much this movie meant to me.
I was working at Blockbuster for the DVD boom.
Yeah.
And I also just bought a bunch of DVDs and I did not have a player yet.
Couldn't afford it.
And then eventually I was like, well, now I have a big collection once I got a DVD player. Great.
It's a moment. Yeah. So like, I think I had like 5 or 6 DVDs. The Matrix was the first. And I basically discovered more and more the nuance over time. So the movie also grew with me, my experience of it. So for me, The Matrix is not only the cool concepts, not only the cool like lessons I learned about Plato's The Cave, about certain theology within itself, and also made me start to study the concepts within it and the psychology within it. But it's also a movie that helped me understand a thing that's so removed from my reality, which is blind faith. So that movie means a lot to me in not only the action, the sci-fi, the things it tells, but I also love the conversation that comes from it.
Right.
So having that conversation with the person is a great way for me to understand whether or not we can be able to have dialogue that might get iffy, that might get tempestuous, that might get like, oh, I disagree with you fundamentally, but we can still solve this. So for me, The Matrix is like a really good date movie because it's like, let's dance. And also it's interesting to see if they just blindly agree with me because I've studied it. Like I've read books on the art of the Matrix. I've read so many articles about what people discovered in the Mandela effect and quantum theory because of the Matrix.
Right.
Those aren't normal things to do after watching the Matrix.
We all heard the episode with VJ. Like you're
I'm
weird.
a lot. So like, yeah, exactly. That's kind of my point is, if that conversation is just them agreeing with me, then I'm like, wait, I don't want to be in a thing where you're just going to nod at me once I've done the research. I want us to dialogue.
Right.
So The Matrix means a lot to me as a point of my belief system, the movie being bitchin', and also how we talk.
Right. Have I ever told you my first time ever watching The Matrix?
No.
I saw The Matrix for the first time on a bus.
What?
For a marching band trip in high school.
I would remember this story.
It was like, it was just one of those movies that it came out at a time when I was young enough to where I wasn't going to the movies by myself.
Sure.
So I was waiting things to come out on VHS and it was, and renting them. And that was one that I just hadn't gotten to, for whatever reason. And it was on like a marching band trip, watching it on like the little screens, because it was like a charter bus, like those set of charter buses that, and on like the few little screens and with the whole marching band, like we're all just watching it on the way to a competition or probably on our way to like a music in the parks kind of thing when I was in high school. And I just remember it like it blew my mind that it was all I wanted to talk about for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
Was like, what about the part where that happened? And what about the part where this and blah, blah, blah. And what about this? And what if, and it really made me, it was one of those things where the entire time we were just like, wait a minute, guys, none of this, like marching band is irrelevant. This is all just, we've just been put here.
Yes, we've been.
And all these really idiotic, non-deep high school nerds were all now just talking about fucking marching band shit. Yeah.
I love that so much.
The Deer Park Marching Falcons will all just have their minds. And also, by the way,
we had a collective existential crisis without the language to actually have an existential crisis.
And I don't know who put that on.
That's so
for
great.
A bunch. By the way, like
our 17,
our
16?
marching band was all 4 years. We had freshmen and seniors. So you have 14-year-olds and to 18-year-olds all in this, this
collective crisis.
It's such a weird. But it's also kind of not an appropriate movie at all.
It's hyper violent for 14-year-olds. Yeah, I was 11 and my parents didn't love that I'd seen it.
Yeah, but
I went and saw it on my own.
From like nerd stock.
Yeah, like you met my family. You guys have heard my family. But they didn't love that I'd seen it because of the hyper violence. But then once we talked about it, they saw the seed it planted. And then they were like, this is a net positive, even though like bro saw hyper violence.
I have another quick story just from this past weekend. Me and a couple of friends went away. We all had a collective Matrix moment where we were sitting outside this restaurant eating breakfast before we were heading home, or brunch rather. And we, not that that's relevant to the story in any capacity, but I like details. I'm a storyteller. I was trying to give you that. I wanted you to see what the sun might have been like.
The setting. I love it.
It was overcast. It was rainy. We had to sit outside because we had all the dogs. We had our dogs and our friend's dog, right? We were all outside. So we made this big umbrella tent out of 3 umbrellas on the patio of this like Mexican restaurant.
Precious.
And we had like the heaters surrounding us. And we're all bundled up in this little corner. And into the restaurant, like on the side of the patio that we can see, just starts walking a person that is identical to a friend that we all have, right? Our friend Kevin. And we all look over, like, where we all catch him at a different time. And almost universally, we all go like, oh my God, it's Kevin walking into and everybody's like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. I thought to say, oh, it's Kevin. Like everybody, he looks just like him.
Yeah.
And by the way, we are we're maybe 100 miles from, like, we're not in LA.
Right. Not a place he'd show up.
No, not at all. And and again, he's walking from the street into the restaurant, and we all go back to our conversations. 5-10 minutes go by, and I glance over, and I see somebody else glance over, and the same guy is walking the same exact path in the same direction. He's not leaving the restaurant.
He got black catted.
Exactly.
A glitch in the Matrix.
And we were all like, oh, there goes Kevin again. And then we're like, wait, why is he entering again?
Also, there goes not Kevin again. The fact that it was someone that close and not Kevin walked by in that pace twice.
So it's like the Matrix was like a familiar person that we all know.
Comfort and then alarm.
But it was it was the glitch where it went wrong because he was just supposed to come in.
Yeah.
But he came in twice. He entered the place twice without ever exiting.
I love that so much.
We were all like, oh, there's a glitch in the Matrix. Everybody said the same dumb joke
Of course.
all at the same time.
But that's how big that movie was.
No,
like, it changed our language.
Yes.
And like, I cannot begin to describe to you how difficult it was to have a fucking audience with Keanu Reeves and not just fucking be that asshole.
Sure.
Like, literally doing the Hall H thing. The hardest part wasn't the 6,500 people. The hardest part wasn't being like calm about this comic I love. It was not just talking about the Matrix the 20 minutes before.
Right.
Because like, he knew. And at one point I mentioned the Matrix during the panel because it was in the script because the writer that's adapting the comic to a live action movie is telling the story. But the way he got connected to Keanu was he'd seen the Matrix something like 400 times and it like affected him like viscerally. So the word Matrix was even in my script. So my brain kept being like, okay, don't make it about you. Don't make it about the Matrix.
Right.
But then my excitement to say the word the Matrix at Keanu Reeves was so big that one of the moments when he like pats me on the shoulder with excitement was because I like went to a 15. Like me containing it for 2 hours turned into me being like, hey, the Matrix. And then he was like, I love that he, instead of being like a lot of actors where he gets like, oh, he said the thing. Instead, Keanu is the kindest man in the world. So he went like, I know he needed that. Like he literally can't.
Keanu just walks around giving little necessary gifts.
He just gifted me.
You know what he does? It's like people are suffocating and he goes, hang on a second, I gotta give this guy some oxygen. And he just blows a little kiss and it just makes that person just be alive.
As a lifestyle, like as a day-to-day, like he is the angel amongst us. So yeah, the Matrix, that's one of mine and it's very important to me.
My other Litmus movie is a very obvious one. I talk about it in the movie all the time. It's my favorite movie of all time, and that is
Jake Gyllenhaal's
City Slickers. Yes, Jake Gyllenhaal's City Slickers. The reason that one is a litmus test for me is a few reasons. One is I think it's the sort of movie where if a person does not find the consensus comedy of that movie, not just Billy Crystal's character, not just Mitch, but like the style of comedy that movie is, they probably won't enjoy me as a person.
Oh,
because
huge.
it's a perfect blend. I know that I get grouped a lot in with like the Mark Maron,
Jake Johnson.
No. I meant Larry David. I couldn't come up with. I kept calling David something. The Larry David, the sort of like crotchety. But the reality is I'm significantly more goofy than that.
That's why Jake Johnson for me.
And I'm a lot more self-effacing. And I'm a lot more self-effacing than that. I pick on people, but it's very tongue-in-cheek as if I know I'm the idiot in the scenario, you know? And that movie it just has a very specific brand of comedy that I feel like if I watch that with a person and they don't laugh at things, and not that you have to be a gut belly laughing, but if you don't like enjoy the moments and the beats, then I just kind of know, oh, this person's probably not going to like me.
Yeah.
But also it's in my opinion, it is sort of like an undeniable perfect story. We talked last week about James Gunn and the DC and talking about how movies are formulaic. City Slickers is a great example of a formula that's delivered to us, but it's broken every step of the way. Because in City Slickers, we all like, you think about it as this mainstream comedy, the first ever Castle Rock movie, right? So it's the first ever movie that a Reiner made with their own money, and they're like, hey, we're making our own studio. They went to Billy Crystal. What do you got? You know, he had this idea. He had, Bob Lou Mandel and like them write it. And it was just this, it came together so abrupt and quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's this big mainstream comedy, but it was kind of an indie in that sense, right? So because of that, outside of the people's perception of it, like Billy Crystal, huge big main star, zany Western comedy, fish out of water. It just seems so broad.
Yeah.
But when you watch the movie, like every victory is immediately followed with the most awful taste of reality.
Yeah.
Like every little victory, spoiler alert, like a calf is born and he gives birth to this calf and it's this great, beautiful moment. And immediately, boom, guy shoots the fucking cow.
Yeah.
Or the big finale, they bring in the herd. Turns out, yeah, these guys, the business isn't good anymore. They're all getting sold to slaughter. Like all of these moments of like victory have this bittersweet taste. Sure. And it's like, because that's what this life is about. And it all reinforces his message about finding the things that are important to you. And everything is this very specific theme. And I feel like if you watch that movie and at the end of it, you don't think about yourself.
Yeah.
Not just think about the characters and their journey. If you don't think about yourself and you don't have like that kind of reaction, I actually think that you probably like laugh. When I say you, I'm not talking about you, the listeners, even though maybe I am. Who knows? I'm talking about like the people that are in my life that I'm with. Like, I think that there's like something there's a piece of wonder missing. there's a little bit of childlike wonder missing out of people who might watch a movie like that and just be like, yeah, you know, like,
and that's so important in a relationship of any kind.
Right. And it's like, it's about comedy. It's about the reality, finding humor in something that's sometimes morose. Also, I've talked about it before when I watched it for my birthday last year, when I was the age he was in the movie, because it's a birthday movie. And it was how that movie does not get credit for being like, just despite having like one woman in the cast, unfortunately, it's a surprisingly feminist movie where you've got Bruno Kirby's character, who's the chauvinist, and the other cowboys. And it's like all about like Billy Crystal and Curly and these other characters circumventing like what what chivalry is. Yeah. And, you know, it's a lot of like, it's pretty progressive for a movie for its era.
Especially from then. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's definitely a Litmus movie, hands down.
I literally have like 20, but I want to make sure that I hit different reasons they're Litmuses. And I will just briefly say that In Bruges is all those things, the bittersweet, the comedy, those things. So for me, In Bruges is your
those
City
movies
Slickers.
Could not be more different as far as like
the movies.
Like what the categories of them.
Yeah.
But they're kind of similar
in what you get out of it.
Even though the brand of comedy is different, their delivery is the same.
And I consider In Bruges my favorite comedy and one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, much like you consider City Slickers. So I just want to briefly say City Slickers is your In Bruges. Right. I mean, vice versa.
No, yeah, I get that.
And then so I want to dive into a controversial pick because I think
something with soap.
It's a yes. And I feel like this one needs to be addressed. I think that Fight Club is my biggest Litmus movie, maybe alongside The Matrix.
Probably more for your friends than your romantic interests.
It depends because how they see me as a man.
But I kind of feel like that's what you had mentioned to me about the like.
Oh yeah, the like, Tyler Durden.
I want to know
how you perceive.
I want to know whether or not you think who's the protagonist of this movie.
So that's the crux of it. Is I grew up idolizing. Again, I saw this when I was 11. It was 1999 was very formative for me.
Right.
But I saw this movie when it came out, and I thought Tyler Durden was the coolest character of all time. So much so that Tyler Durden, with some numbers, is my email to this day for like junk mail because I've had this email since I was 12.
If it's not $20.99, you failed.
So this email, I just didn't want to. I realized I almost said the number, and I was like, I don't want to give my email out to the entire internet. But one of my emails is Tyler Durden, and I've had it since I was 12. So I loved this character, and what I love about this movie is as I matured, I realized that Tyler Durden was the antagonist, and now I've kept this email as a means of how people react to that being my email when I tell it to them. Because there is a aghast, what's wrong with you? There's also like, it's what? And then there's also me taking the time to actually explain this journey I went on, which is going from being an immature young dude that sees him as the coolest to realizing that a cool, nihilist, violent person that is selfish is perhaps the antagonist that the character is going through the growth of getting rid of.
Right.
And I, as an individual, went through the growth of shedding Tyler Durden. So that movie, literally, I went through Jack's experience of realizing Tyler Durden wasn't what I needed. I don't need a violent, aggressive, nihilist, self-induced hysteria, cool motherfucker to make me more whole.
Sure.
I need to acknowledge that part of me and move through life bringing elements of that to make me a more complete person while not becoming Tyler Durden.
Understood.
So I've kept that persona via email, not in life, but I've kept that part of me as an integral part of me because I think that if I hadn't learned that lesson, I would be a bad person. I do think Fight Club has made me a better person in that I think I would have voted differently in 2016. I think I would have stayed in Boston and become a different animal.
You would fucking love the Snyderverse.
Oh my God, would I love a lot of... I think Superman snapping Zod's neck would have been the pinnacle of superhero cinema.
Finally.
So, I mean, I'm there, guys. And what if you destroy a city and thousands of people as a superhero?
Who cares?
They don't matter. They're people. So I think that movie really made me who I am today in a myriad of ways. Not only that, but it is some of the best pitch black humor of all time. Not only that, but it is so well directed as a comedy and as an action movie simultaneously. Not only that, but it was advertised so poorly it didn't do well because it was advertised as an action movie from Fox, and it's not that. But then it became this cult following where there is a bit of the life reflecting art of the Fight Club nod. Like there's a lot of people that get what Fight Club is that kind of like nod to each other like in a Fight Club.
Right.
Like the do not talk about Fight Club. How you say that sentence is whether or not you get the movie. And I love that element. And I think maybe most of all, I look like Flash Thompson and I act like Peter Parker. And I talk about that all the time because it's something that I really had to struggle with growing up. I did not have friends that talked about comics with me. I went to the comic store on my own or with my dad. And my dad and I had this like secret club of liking comics because I just didn't have that to share with anyone. And it made me and my dad closer, but it definitely made me feel alienated from a very sports-centric town. And it definitely made me feel like I had this thing that I had to hide. So like I've said before, I wore Abercrombie shirts over my Spider-Man shirt because I wanted to wear Spider-Man, but I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And Fight Club was written by a gay man wrangling with his being gay, and he got his ass kicked while camping and basically wrote this story as a means to cope with lots of things that he was going through, and wrote the parable of what toxic masculinity is while dealing with his own masculinity, because Chuck Palahniuk is one of the most masculine men you'll ever meet. Chuck Palahniuk has gone through steroid abuse, has gone through bodybuilding trauma, has gone through body dysmorphia, has gone through losing his father to a murderer and literally hearing it. Chuck Palahniuk has gone through one of the most horrendous lives and is still able to find the funny in the darkness and been a role model for me and millions of others. There are times I don't agree with him. That doesn't change the Chuck Palahniuk infrastructure of good that came from darkness.
Right.
And to me, that's Fight Club. And to me, that's also what you can do with looking at humor and all these things. And for me, masculinity shouldn't have toxic in parentheses in front of it. I think masculinity is very important in society. I think the wrong masculine people represent masculinity. And I think the wrong Fight Club fans represent Fight Club.
Just like, I was going to say, it's just like fandom. Toxic fandom and fandom are two, yeah.
And so Fight Club to me represents like, this is what masculinity can be if you see it wrong, but it's also what masculinity can be if you see it right. That's a love story between a man finding his love and abusing it for a long time. Like there's so much beauty in that movie. So when I talk to someone, and that's why I think it is as women as well as men, if a woman doesn't get that, then I'm afraid of the relationship she thinks we'll have or she's had.
I will say, I would not be surprised if it is because of the other half, because of the protagonist Tyler Durden crew. If most women have dated dudes who are the opposite and go and just write the movie off because it seems like a dumb quote.
And people have written me off. I've gone on dates and mentioned Fight Club and immediately see their eyes glaze over. I'm like, I'm gonna get the check.
Like, do you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is I don't blame them. Yeah,
understandably. And I never judge them for it. I just go like, I don't think you'll ever give me the time to explain what this means to me. This is a good time. Thanks for seeing me. Like, and that's why it's a litmus test, because it's important to me.
So another movie that's on my list that's could not be more different than Fight Club, but kind of has a similar thing in the sense that Fight Club is about like the toxic masculinity and the way that has destroyed mental health. I have a movie that I think depicts mental health problems and suicide better than any other movie that's ever done it, and that's The Skeleton Twins.
Yeah, you got a lot of
that is a huge litmus test for me. I was thrilled in Alexandra when I first watched it with Alexandra to find out that she had not watched it, and I was like, I get to show you this, and she loves it just as much as I do. But it's like that movie is so great because like Fight Club is very much a comedy without laughs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, it depends on how you laugh.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. But it's comedy without laughs. Skeleton Twins is like kind of the same, in which there's a lot of movies that I like that are that dramedy.
Yeah.
And it definitely goes like, oh, it's a little comedy, a little drama. The reason why I think Skeleton Twins is head above the rest is that it is in its entirety a complete comedy and in its entirety a complete drama. It wears both of those hats.
Yeah.
Without compromising the other one. Because sometimes it's like, well, we need to be a little bit more dramatic here.
I'd say Fight Club's that with thriller.
Sure,
you know
there
like
it is.
Thriller comedy.
Thriller comedy. Because that's what I'm getting at. And like Skeleton Twins is just like so dark and so funny.
Yeah.
That for me, it's a litmus test where if you don't find the humor in how awful things can be.
Sure.
Then like it's another instance of like I see a lot of myself in a lot of that movie in certain ways, and both of the characters, both him and her, in that movie you literally have like the Luke Wilson character, who's probably the guy
one of my favorite roles of his.
Yeah, same. It's so, but like you have that guy who's perfectly lovable, and if you don't understand why I'm allowed to hate him a little bit for being perfect, like there's just like those little things in that movie. That really do that make it a litmus movie for me. Where I feel like if somebody did not like that or just went like it was okay, I would be like, no, it's not okay. Or if you group it together with other, because that's the thing with Fight Club. I feel like
People put it with Jordan Belfort. They put it with American Psycho.
Yes.
They put it with, and I think those
Yes.
things are justified if you understand it incorrectly, or if you very much understand it because you see Patrick Bateman is what he is. But
I wouldn't say American Psycho because I think it should be grouped with American Psycho.
But I think that if you lump it together in American Psycho wrong, it's just as bad as lumping it together right.
I would say people lump it together with like generic action movies. I would say people lump it together with just run-of-the-mill, guns and fights and violence.
But I think the same people that see him as a protagonist see Jordan Belfort, Taxi Drivers, Travis Bickle, and Patrick Bateman as heroes.
Right.
Like all the entrepreneur bros on TikTok right now making their 30-second videos about working out and then being like, and you got to read a book a day. Right. All those bros don't get the message.
Yeah, 100%.
In brief, we talked about these before. I want to wrap this up, but we might come back to this. Actually, if you enjoyed this, call in giving us yours. But also,
what are your Litmus movies and why?
Give us your Litmus movies, but also if you enjoyed this, we probably both have 20. This could become a recurring thing on our off weeks.
I definitely have a lot more.
Because I want to talk about Crazy Stupid Love's view of love. I want to talk about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's view of comedy. I've got more to go into.
I have another... Yeah, I have another few that are kind of in that same world where it's like, oh, here's sort of like a real rom-commy one where like if you don't like this movie, then you don't have
because we're 40 minutes in, we've done 2.
You don't have love in your heart.
Yeah, and my final one I want to talk about in a future episode. I could do it now, but we're at 40 minutes. A Knight's Tale. Its view.
We both share that one.
Yeah, we do, and that's why I think we should open next time with that.
That's yeah.
I think Jake 100%. And I diving into A Knight's Tale is in the future. Maybe it came out in May. Let's do its anniversary. But yeah, I really think the beauty of A Knight's Tale is a shared moment, and that's the only one that he has one that affected him that will tell a story in the future that actually ended today. I
never got to it.
We'll talk about that, but A Knight's Tale I had that happen with, and about halfway through A Knight's Tale when she wasn't enjoying it, it didn't end things, but it definitely made me go like, okay, I don't know how to let my brain go, this is fine. But we'll talk about that in the future. But yeah, those were absolutely Litmus Test movies, and I want to hear yours. So 818-794-0722. Why it's a litmus test, not just how good the movie is. I want to hear them. But we got hotline calls from that very number. I'd love to check out. What do we got, Jake?
Hey there, mon ami. How you doing? It's Ben from Montreal. It's been a while, but I have to say, I've been paying attention. First off, happy belated birthday, Jake. I have a question or a theme, depending how you decide to see it. I'd love to talk about collectibles regrets. You know, what's that book that you almost got? That collectible, that toy that you figured you'd grab but didn't? Let me go first. So back in the day, there was a store. It still exists today in Laval. It's called BD Cosmos. BD is short for bande dessinée. That means comics in French. And BD Cosmos back in the day was in Montreal, and it had that amazing Hulk 181 in pretty decent condition for $300. And mind you, back in the day, I must have been like, I don't know, 17, 18 years old, maybe, you know. And I've decided to step away from it. And since that day, regrets, mon ami, regrets. I could have bought it. That's the worst part. I decided to go for more comics instead of just one. But, you know, that's the way to write the dice rolls, I guess. Another one I have, and then the floor is yours. I had met this person who was this amazing Wolverine fan, right? And he was all jazz and hype. So I've decided that I would gift him Wolverine 75 with the hologram, thinking this would rock his world. And, well, regrets. I have more than one copy. Must stay truthful. He sold the comic.
Oh.
I was like, you son of a bitch. I gifted this to you, not for you to sell it. So those are like two of my horror stories. I figured I'd love to hear about yours. Collectibles regrets. All right. Take care. Have fun. Happy birthday, Koi. Keep it rocking. I'm listening. Stay sweaty. Mon ami. Ciao.
I've got two that immediately jump to mind, and only one has been rectified.
Before we get into that, the Hulk 181, that's first appearance of Wolverine, right?
Huge.
$300.
Staggering.
That one hurts.
I'm affected. That's real bad.
I am not familiar with what Wolverine 75 is and why it's special.
I think it's the adamantium being pulled out of him, if I remember correctly. I think.
Okay.
But I need to see the cover.
That
I'm more
right.
visual than auditory as far as comics.
Oh no. Key issue. I just looked it up.
Okay. What do we
First bone claws reveals.
so the things are,
reveals Wolverine's claws are not implants.
So yeah, after the adamantium's pulled out, probably in like X-Men 100 or something, 75 is the other side.
75 is October 31, 1993.
Yep, that's that era. That's
it doesn't seem like it's an expensive book though.
I wouldn't have thought of it because they printed a lot of those.
If he turned around and sold it, I don't think he got a lot of money for it.
Yeah, not a good move.
Unless it's because he says he had the hologram. Maybe there's a special. Maybe there was something unique about that. And they're more expensive.
This particular edition.
Looking it up online,
that's attainable.
It doesn't seem like. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at it right now.
It's like $20, $30.
No, I can find it for $7.
You got this.
Maybe they're shit. Maybe they're shit.
Sure.
Okay. GCZG. I can never say
CGC?
it. Thank you.
Gotcha.
I can't. I can never say those initials in the right order. Oh, I'm getting more dyslexic as I get older. At a 9.8, it is 125.
Okay.
Still not a ton, but that's not cheap for a few pages.
Especially of that book.
Yeah.
All right, so I got two. One of them haunts me to this day. One took about 15 years to rectify, but it's a good story. So I'm gonna save the good story for second. The first one, the haunting one, the one that vexes me, happened 8 years ago. It's fairly recent. I was at a comic book store that had an Amazing Spider-Man 39, Volume 1, Issue 39 in 1967, 1968, thereabout. It is the Green Goblin cover where he is pulling Peter Parker behind him unmasked. Very iconic cover. It's unmasking Spider-Man, and it's a Norman Osborn, like, iconic issue. We're talking 7.5, 8.0 quality, like beautiful book, stunning. Right. And this is like, only 8 years ago, so this is still a 50-year-old book. It was in staggeringly good condition. This was in one of the more broke eras of my life. It was only, I'm not even kidding, and this haunts me to this day, $80. I could have afforded it if I was willing to dip into my savings versus checking. I'm very, very, very picky with my money. I'm very poverty mindset's real and I'm working on it, but I was like, I can't dip into my savings. What do I do? So I called my mom and dad, and my mom and dad are always supportive. They always let me make my own decisions, but they're really good bouncing boards. And as soon as they heard that it would be going into my savings, they literally just did the good parent thing and went how do you feel about that? But they stressed that it was something that I wouldn't normally do. Right. And they're like good therapists. They just listened and they just repeated back to me what I was saying. I don't again, this is not me blaming them, but the way they said everything, my brain took from it what I chose to take from it, which is you don't go into your savings, bro. Yeah, this is irresponsible.
It was like they were accidentally inceptioning you with your own
with
shit.
Me. Yes. It was like they voice modulated me back to me.
Technically, you inceptioned yourself because you told them something
that they just gave back to me.
They agreed or reiterated, and then you said, well, that's what they said. Right. Even though it was you the whole fucking time.
And it took years to realize, literally, this has vexed me to the point that I've mentioned it to my therapist.
Right.
This is one of those moments where, I trust and love my family so much that I realized that I was the villain of my own scenario here because I'm wait, my parents didn't do anything wrong. So they just pointed back to me what I had told them. And I left the comic store and I didn't buy it. And that comic store is still one I occasionally go to for sales, hoping against hope that some deal of that magnitude will happen again. It never has. But I'm down to 29 Amazing Spider-Man issues I need in the world. At this point, I needed 80 something. So I've gotten a substantial amount in the last 8 years. Now, when I'm down to my last 29, the fact that this is one of the 29, I still haven't gotten it, much less at that cost. And I want it in that condition. I really want it to be good quality. Right. Amazing Spider-Man 39. I've only ever seen 4 or 5 of them in bad quality sense or at a Comic-Con where it's $5,000.
Right, of course.
It is maybe my ghost book. It's my, that and Amazing Fantasy 15. Those are my, when I get it, it'll be something.
Right.
So I'm vexed to this day. The good story, the one that got away that then came back to me, the fish that came back. When I was young, I would go to every comic store in small towns I could and try to find the deals that comic stores that knew what they had would not You go to places that don't realize. And this one comic store was closing in my hometown because it was relocating, and they had 2 locations that were downsizing to 1. So one of the locations was closing, and they were so cool that they literally just let me go through their entire inventory because I've been shopping at them since I was 5.
Wow.
So they were just go through everything, whatever you want, and we'll come up with a total at the end.
Right.
I had 2 stacks of maybe 150 comics.
Wow.
300 books. And they were going to price everything and just give me a lump total.
Right.
And I got so many books out of this deal.
Right.
But in my brain, I was I can only buy one of these 2 stacks. In doing that, I accidentally put an Ultimate Spider-Man #1 in the get rid of stack instead of the keep stack because I was hurrying because I'd been there for 6 hours.
Right.
I just felt guilty for them for staying open for me. So I moved this book across because I thought it was a Spider-Man Unlimited #1, which was the animated series that was airing at the time.
Yeah, your brain just didn't work for you. Yeah.
So when I got home, and realized I had a Spider-Man Unlimited #1. I immediately realized the error in my ways. They had already sold it
Right,
when I
of
went
course.
back.
You can't.
That doesn't stay. So I literally put down a book that was my favorite title at the time that I only missed out on because of the same error. When that book started coming out, I thought it was an adaptation of the show.
Right, yeah,
because the names are so similar.
We talked about that.
But the fact that I held one, and this was like 5 years later, that book was already gold.
Right.
In fact, it was probably worth more then because comics have changed now. That book haunted me for so many years. And then the good news is, after it haunting me for that book, I think came out in 2000. I think that incident happened in 2004. I didn't get this book until 2019. 15 years passes.
Right.
And it's the last one in that run I need. I've since gotten both covers of issue 2. I've since gotten the weird cover of issue 5. I've accomplished it.
Yeah.
Except #1, because I want it in beautiful condition. I'm in Hawaii. The comic company I'm working for, Amazing Comic-Con Hawaii, they have a booth.
Right.
They have one.
Right.
It's only $80.
That's not a lot of money.
Staggeringly low. And to top it off, I did them a solid by doing 2 extra panels the day before. He gives it to me.
I mean, that is.
He's like, hey, don't even worry about it. And it's beautiful, stunning condition.
Right.
What's amazing about this story is it turns into that being the only Ultimate Spider-Man I have on the West Coast.
And it was
the rest of my comics
with you.
It was with me.
Just in time.
The rest of my comics are back
story,
east.
right.
And then the rest of the story you guys know because Brian Michael Bendis signs it.
Right.
It's a 9.8 condition.
Just because you happen to have it on your person.
And the only one.
Yep.
So, and what's crazier is it was in the house that I lived with my girlfriend at the time who was on his show Powers.
Right.
So she got to come see the guy that created her comic. I got to connect them two. I got to then have it signed and everything was as it should be.
That's fantastic.
Like, what a moment.
I don't have really anything like this that comes to mind.
Okay.
I think what I have more is items I wished I had not gotten rid of, or that like I had not just or if I hadn't lost over the years, like that stuff. But because I'm not a big collector. Hell, I have I think 3 or 4 short boxes in my closet. That's all of my single issues that I have now, right? Like because I just got rid of so many stuff throughout the years.
Yeah,
I have very few comics in my collection, like
400 or so.
Yeah, how many is in a short
100.
box? So I probably less than that because they're organized by like publisher.
Oh,
so
yeah.
some of them aren't filled because I only have so many of a
250,
certain
300, yeah.
So I probably, if we sat down and went through all of my comics, we could probably do it in an episode and be like, oh, we have time for a hotline call.
Wow.
Like I have that few issues nowadays.
Yeah,
individual issues, not including my trades, obviously. So
that's
I
just
never
by
really,
2022.
never really, seriously, I never really collect anything anymore, or I never collect anything to begin with, and I just got rid of this thing. That's my thing. Is I guarantee you that I gave away gold without, or like
you sold or Hulk 181 for $300.
No, someone gifted me Wolverine 75, and then I just sold it for $4.99. But yeah, I know that I had stuff in there that I did not know what was worth.
At least you don't remember.
Right. The other thing is, I know this is a comic centric thing, and you and I are not necessarily sports guys, but I had a metal box filled with all of my baseball cards from when I was a kid. And I know for a fact that there was definitely a couple $1,000s in there. That metal box was left at a friend's house that I don't remember leaving there. I'm sorry, that I know I left there, but I didn't remember it was there when I left New York.
Yeah.
And I have no hard feelings with this person. I'm not like blaming them for anything. The box just went missing to time. And here's the thing is, it was a lockbox. I don't even know if
anyone was able to get it.
If he ever had, I mean, I'm sure someone could have bashed it open. But in that box, I know were some specific player rookie cards. I know I had like some Bo Jacksons, some Dallas Strawberries, like the stars of the era.
Yeah.
I had some really good stuff in there, as well as some of the then older stuff that I started to slowly look for certain players of yesteryear.
Yeah, so that was like your box.
Yeah, the Norm Cashes and these other people that I was like, that box is just gone. So while I don't think I ever like didn't buy something and regret it, because I'm also just like you, like I don't spend money. Like
sure.
when it comes to stuff like that, I think I learned pretty abruptly in my early 20s that like it was best for me to spend money on things that can make me money.
Sure.
Because I never had a real job.
And as an adult, I now spend more money on experiences because as I get older, I realize
like
that I'm not going to enjoy them. I don't think I'll enjoy traveling in Europe in my 70s as much as I would now.
Listen, we didn't talk. Sorry to interrupt, but Dimensional. I talked about it all the time. The app Dimensional. Remember we talked about it months ago. The like personality thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The app. You never took it, but it's
How long does it
fascinating. I mean, like there's a bunch of different quizzes, and you can
Send
just
me
take
it again.
a
I'll
few.
do it today
Or
or tomorrow.
I think you and Alexandra are very similar because Alexandra's primary trait is hedonism because it's all about the experience. It's all about
But that's new. That's adult me.
right.
Young me was
Sure.
hoarder. Young me was Smaug.
Right.
And then there was
materialistic.
Exactly.
Right.
And it was just protect your money, protect your assets, only buy things you're going to collect.
Right.
Because in my brain, so when I get money for Christmas, I keep it until I find a physical item to buy with it because I
Right.
want to associate that item with my family. I still do that for the most part,
Right.
but this was the first time my grandpa gave me money for my birthday and Christmas this year. I put it both towards a gym membership because my
Right.
grandpa was one of the first people to get me running.
Right.
So now I think of him when I go to the gym,
You
and that
associate
gives me
that.
that same association.
that's
that's
nice,
a positive. But I used to be like, I'd only buy like a suit because I think of him as fancy.
Right,
Like that sort of
yeah.
thing. And instead, I'm like, no, I want to have an active thought of him.
Right.
Because like as he's getting older, I appreciate him thinking he'd been to run earlier.
Right.
So I'm trying to become more hedonistic consciously out of fear of dying with lots of comics and no life skills.
Right.
Or like life attributes. So like I want to travel more, and like he went to con when I was young, and I was like so jealous of him going to a movie festival for me. So my idea right now is like the next time I get money for birthday or Christmas, I want to put it towards con.
Right.
So I'm trying to think of those things as an
Yeah,
adult.
I get that.
And like I'm really like aging freaks me out, obviously, but also like I'm afraid of not living these things until I retire. So as much as I'm throwing money towards retirement, I'm also trying to make sure I throw almost as much towards the young life living,
yeah.
which is hard
I'm slowly
as
becoming
a
that-
poverty-minded person.
Yeah, I'm slowly becoming that way. Alexandra's helping a little bit because like there's so many things I want to do with her.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm starting to like, especially like after like going away this past weekend, and obviously we have this trip coming up that like I'm really focusing on like, God, how much I want to get out of town for a weekend more often and like go do things more often.
And
But
you've got
for
a
my-
partner to do it. That's
Right,
like really
sure.
rare and
Of
beautiful.
course.
Not rare, but like since
Yeah.
I don't, it's hard to be like,
Right.
I'm going to buy myself a trip to Ireland.
Right,
That's
sure,
a
of
hard thing
course.
to put your brain around.
Yeah. That's I completely understand that, but also it makes it easier to do.
It does, but
Because it's cheaper and you don't have to please anybody
or
but
make any
yourself.
decisions
But
based
you
on
could
two.
also just be like on a whim, just do what you want.
I'm gonna go to
which
this
is nice.
pub. That's
right.
That's
or,
for me.
or just I mean even like the bigger travel part of it.
Right.
You're like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna hop on a train and head to Scotland today or whatever. You know.
And but it's hard to also like remember the joy of it unless you're
Right.
taking selfies.
Right.
Like there's stuff like that that's hard.
Sure.
But yeah,
Well,
so
that's your brand.
Oh,
'cause I
100%.
don't take shit. But anyways,
but I gotta
wait.
remember, I forget shit.
But the point that I was making was like when I was young and throughout my 20s, like if it wasn't like music, sound equipment, camera equipment, like my guitars, like if it wasn't something that I used actively, a computer, video camera equipment for, filmmaking, like if it's not one of these creative tools,
Sure.
I did not think I could really spend money on it. Yeah, I would buy comics, not individuals like I've just been talking about, but I would buy trades.
Yeah.
So I would spend money, but even then I'm so cheap that I would only buy comics on cons on Sundays.
Yep.
And I would never buy anything for the cover price, and I would never buy anything unless it was like a buy two, get 150 or something like that.
That's
like,
me with Blu-rays.
So yeah, same thing.
Blockbuster,
Oh yeah.
huge.
Oh, I've
Black Friday, save up all year.
I think in my adult life, I've probably bought 4 to 5 new Blu-rays.
Or you buy it the day it comes out
with
and it's
plastic.
half off anyway.
I don't do that.
Oh,
That's
see, I go
smart.
like Tuesday,
Oh,
and
I
then
didn't
it's
know
like
that.
the same price as used.
I didn't know that.
The
That's
day
smart.
it drops is Tuesday, and a lot of times that first 3 days
They have
you
like a
can
little
buy
sale.
them. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
So
But
I
anyways.
think I've maybe played it MSRP like twice.
So, but anyways, get back to it. Yes. Fantastic question, Benoit. I don't know that I have that. I do hope that one day a Hulk 181 comes back into your life.
I believe in you.
Yeah,
I like
believe
that.
in you
I
too.
like that. Do we have one more? Or do you want to go to cards?
We
running out of
got
time.
We got one more.
We got one more. Let's do it.
Hello, Coy. What's your favorite scary movie? I think mine might be, I don't know. Anyway, this is Mask Llama of the Legendary Fighting Federation. And I heard that you got a call from Ghostface. And I was just curious, what was that like? Man, hope you have a good one. And I'll catch up with you later. Bye.
Love this question.
But I like that he like just changed his mind halfway through.
I'm gonna deliver this.
He was like, my favorite. Never mind.
I'm not gonna share this. I also Mass Llama being the one that always sounds like a different voice, doing a voice change was so on brand.
It's fun. Yes.
Like I really enjoyed that. My favorite scary movie franchise is Scream. My favorite singular scary movie is Cabin in the Woods. And my favorite era of horror that I look on with nostalgia but don't actually watch a lot of is I really like the Freddy Jason era. I think of that as horror movies, but I don't actually enjoy the journey of them as much as I enjoy the concept of them.
Right.
I don't sit down and watch them, but I go that's nice.
Does Shaun of the Dead count as a scary movie?
It's a comedy.
Does Attack the Block count as a scary movie?
That's a sci-fi horror, right? Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
There you go. I like that.
Or Jaws.
Shaun of the Dead's like a commentary.
Jaws.
Jaws is scary.
What was your call from Ghostface like?
Okay, so basically it said Hello Koi, which was awesome because I've wanted to hear that voice do that my whole life.
Koi.
And like it was the actual like the company that makes it, so it wasn't like just the voice modulator.
Right.
He called and he's like, "I hear you like scary movies. I'm really impressed." And then there was two different versions because it called twice, and one of them was like, "You've got 30 seconds, go," and it just hangs up and it makes you like, which is cool.
Right.
And then and that was the first one I got, which I liked because then I had a moment of like, what a great way to actually. If you know someone's in the industry to make them not at odds, and then like, what if a real killer, like for a moment was like, I'm a mess with this person. And then the second one was like, you like scary movies. I'm really impressed. What's your favorite? And then there's like this really long pause and it goes like, I see you thinking. And then it hangs up and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So both were great and unique because they kind of stacked.
Right.
But it was cool to have the official one versus like when your friend puts on the mask and does it at a Halloween store. Because it always sounds like almost great.
Right.
But it was really cool that like that was great marketing because it like freaked me out. And they also called it like 2 a.m. So I wasn't like, I never answer unknown numbers, but I was just off enough that I did. I'm so happy. I also have one that like left a voicemail, which is cool.
And where did that come from?
I assume it was the studio having me on their press list.
Got it.
Because I couldn't find it.
Right. Did you like Google like get a call from Ghostface?
I didn't yet. I didn't think I liked
get
the
a
magic
call
more.
from Ghostface.
Because I literally saw the press screening, so I assumed I was on a list.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it takes a few minutes to receive it, but if you go to helloghostface.com,
That's great.
it takes people to a page with an image of Ghostface and the text, "I'm dying to call you." Press a button on the website to begin and are greeted by Ghostface asking if you like scary movies. After that, enter your name and phone number and await the all too familiar voice on the other end of your phone.
Oh, that's
I
great.
wonder if somebody just did that.
I almost guarantee it now that there's
or if,
that accessible.
if it was at 2 a.m.,
yeah, someone was
one of
probably
your
trolling,
friends,
going
one of your
through all their
friends did it and thought it would be funny.
And it was.
That's
and they
great.
probably saw my tweet and were like, haha,
Also,
accomplished.
by the way, do this to your friends at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it works. I'm excited. HelloGhostface.com. Change the game.
Well done.
All right, I'm going to give you these cards. That's going to be all our hotlines. Let's get into these cards.
So if you listen to last week's show, friend of the pod, Mark Allen Heiliger, host of The Hell With This, gifted us a box of 1991 DC Cosmic cards. It's an entire box. There are 181 cards in the deck. So far, we opened 2 packs, so we have 24
No dupes.
of the 181.
Now we're gonna have to go quicker this time because we still got to do 2 patron pods.
Yeah.
and I got some. I got John Wick tonight.
But
I'm very excited.
I can't get mine open. There we go. Okay, let's see here. Alrighty.
You go first this time.
Okay, wait. Let me pull up my sheet. Let me pull up the sheet.
Be ready.
All right, so right off the bat, I have got card number 21, another new one, and this one is our second Wonder Woman. This one is modern age Wonder Woman.
Ooh, got a
So
pair.
we previously had Silver Age, right?
Yep.
Or was it Golden? What was it?
Silver.
Yeah, Silver Age Wonder Woman. So that was number 20. This is 21. So they're
Okay.
I wonder if all the Wonder Women are back to back.
Or maybe the eras of heroes like 1, 2, 3 Superman.
Oh,
1, 2,
right.
3, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now this is a pair, so I'm gonna have to skip you for just a moment.
Pair.
You
got 2 cards. Oh wait, we have 2 of the same?
No, it's they pair though.
Oh, lovely.
I have a Golden Age Mr. Mxyzptlk, but I only noticed that right behind him is a Silver Age Mr. Mxyzptlk. So
wait, how do you pronounce it?
I
always thought it was Mxyzptlk.
There's a Y in there, so I always say Mxyzptlk. It's MXY.
I know, this is so stupid.
MXYZPTLK. Mxyzptlk?
Sure.
I mean,
Nobody knows.
Until it's in a movie.
Not even the people who wrote it know.
I mean, frankly, Scott Derrickson had to figure out all that
Right.
Doctor Strange phrasing.
Right. What are the card numbers?
So I was wondering if they were paired, and they are. It is 28 is Golden Age, and 29 is Silver Age.
Golden Age, Mr. Spell it again.
MXYZTPLK.
Right. I hate everything.
Oh, let the record show.
So that's 28?
28 is Golden Age.
Yep.
29 is Silver.
Oh,
That's why I had to cut you off briefly because I was curious.
So they are all grouped together, I bet.
Now, I do want to point out that the Golden Age was 2'11", while growing monstrumentally in Silver Age to 3'9".
Oh,
wanted to give credit to that.
Congratulations, Mr. Mixel. See, I always thought it was, yeah, you're right. You are right.
I assume.
Mxyzptlk. Mxyzptlk?
The Y makes me think Mxyzptlk.
Oh, boy.
Pitalik?
Say that 20 times fast.
Anyway.
All right, I got number 146. Now this is, we're in our like battles section, and of course this one is one that everybody knows. Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Boom, big one.
Great battles. DC Crisis is card 146. Still no duplicates.
I'm impressed. I got a favorite character of mine right here. Not a well-known one, but hopefully will be soon. I've got number 114, not a favorite of the 1991. Big Barda.
Who? I don't know this person.
Oh, dude, okay.
Wait, can I see the
when you
photos?
come
Sometimes
back,
names are.
You definitely won't know this photo because it's very misogynistic. It's her vacuuming.
Jesus Christ.
It's literally one of the most like powerful characters in DCU vacuuming.
Okay.
So 91 was not as woke.
What was the name? What was the name? Big what?
Big Barda.
Barta?
Barda.
Oh, Big Barda.
Okay, so audience, this is a recording before Jake leaves town. When he gets back from town, we're going to talk about his love for Big Barda because it's about to happen.
Oh, really?
You're about to fall madly in love with Big Barda.
I know why you're saying that, and I'm happy.
This is a before and after pod. I'm very excited.
I have card number 101. He's not Aquaman. He's Ocean Master.
Oh, the bad guy.
With his little, by the way, Ocean Master, not really a master of the ocean if he needs this little machine to pull him through the
Clearly
water.
not mastering much.
Does he not swim?
That machine is the master.
Ocean Master. I don't think I know this character by the name Ocean Master.
He's the villain of the first movie as played by Patrick Wilson, but he only says it one time because it's like,
right.
They
What's
use his other name.
The character uses,
I think
Curry, Orm?
Yeah, they call him Orm in the movie.
Orm Curry?
Because at one point in the movie, he says, I am the Ocean Master. And I was like, damn, he actually said it. But yeah, that's Patrick Wilson.
Love it.
So you had Gangbuster. I got Blockbuster.
The other Buster.
We got the other Buster. He's 82. I don't know if Block and Gang are side by side, but 82.
Blockbuster. What is Blockbuster?
Blockbuster
is he a good guy?
Is 8 feet, 525 pounds. He's a big boy.
What does he look like?
It looks like a beast.
Okay. Another character I don't know.
The man-mountain Blockbuster, sworn enemy of Starman, was no more than a brainy and frail thief until an experimental steroid bulked him up and buried this crafty cunning beneath a blinding white-hot rage. Stalking through the Southwest, Blockbuster eventually had a ruinous rampage brought to the end by Starman. Blockbuster may eventually be returned to normal, but will he be able to contain the beast within?
The next card I have is 127.
Okay.
And I'm sure this is just white guilt, but it seems racist to me.
I mean, the Big Barda vacuuming.
She's not Backfire. She's Blackfire. And she looks like a combination of she's like a black Jean Grey kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know this character at all.
I don't either.
But yeah.
The name being
she's the sister of Starfire.
Oh. So Blackfire and I know
Starfire and Blackfire.
Not great.
That even does sound more racist.
It got worse.
It's like it's her sister.
But because she's in black in the show, but like Starfire wasn't black in the 90s comics, so
maybe this isn't supposed to be a black woman, and it just I don't know. I just assume it's
not great.
Not great. 1991 DC.
I got a very early one in the deck, still no dupes. Number 14.
Ooh, okay.
We got Silver Age Shazam.
Silver Shazam.
We got Silver Age Shazam, and it's odd they don't call him Captain Marvel. But
I was going to say
there were times.
Well, when did that happen? Was that still?
I think there were lawsuits all through the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Like this could have been like a lawsuit deck.
Right. Exactly. Like they got sued
because
over
they
that
say
card.
Captain Marvel on the back.
Right. And in that other card that we read last week.
But he's named Shazam.
I've got cards 7, 8. Finding it so I could check it off. I'm trying to make sure we're doing our due diligence here. Wildcat, one of the many cat-themed superheroes and villains. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I
don't think I know Wildcat either.
You're gonna love this. Apparently the cats are paired because I've got number 77, Vixen, also cat-themed.
Oh.
Vixen I do know. I don't know yours.
I know the name.
Yeah, Vixen's very cattish.
Yeah.
So we both got cats.
Vixen looks like Catwoman, the Halle Berry version.
Oh, she does. She reminds me of Callisto from Craven.
Okay. Another character I'm not familiar with, number 37 in a row. Blue Devil.
Oh, I know Blue Devil. I
don't recognize the artwork. Yeah. He's a rough and tumble stuntman. Oh, look at that. Blue Devil is a stuntman.
What's the Keanu character in Toy Story?
I didn't see it. That's 4, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen 4
I'm happy for you. You're about to have a journey. I liked 4 a lot.
I've been wanting to do like a big major rewatch, but time.
I mean, you still haven't seen the 3 superhero movies of 2022 yet.
Nope.
I got Great Battles, Legends, which is 149.
It's just called Legends?
I read it over and over again to see if I was wrong. It's Legends because it's a 1 through 6. It's an arc.
Right. 149 Legends.
Yep. That was the arc.
Koijandro. 2 episodes.
Yep.
12. We've probably done what? We've probably done another 10 maybe?
Yeah. First dupe?
We have our first duplicate.
Oh, still not bad.
I have in my possession a second version of card 177, classic cover Superman.
It's a beautiful card. If we're going to have a dupe, I like that first dupe.
Superman #1. It's our first dupe. I'm
that
gonna put it up.
Visually
Put
the
it
best
up
card.
here because now we're slowly building a complete set. So I'm separating out. So we have our first dupe.
That one can live wherever because it's a beautiful card.
It is really lovely. Maybe that'll go in the refrigerator.
I think that's fair. I have a 165. We're still in the comic arc storyline. This is Armageddon 2001.
Armageddon 2001, which is when it was going to happen, you guys.
We all lived through it. It also, which is really funny because it was in 1991, obviously, because that's when we were the most worried. But it's only 2 issues. It says Armageddon 2001 #1 and 2.
Great. So it was what do they call that? Classic or greatest?
Great Battles.
Great Battles. Yep, 2
Done in
issues.
Done in 2.
It was great. Hey, we didn't say that it was long.
It was also about as big of a deal as 2001's Millennium Problem.
Right, the Y2K.
Yeah, it happened.
Another one we don't know, still no duplicates. 93. Well, not still no duplicates.
Just the one.
Another not duplicate. 93. Oh, wait a minute. No, it is a duplicate.
Oh, you
We
misled
have our
us.
second duplicate.
Ouch.
Dr. Polaris, which you must have had last week.
Because Polaris, I remember I described as basically just Polaris.
Mr. Magnet Man. Damn it. That's 2 dupes in my deck.
Okay, so I love snake-themed villains for whatever reason. I think it's because of the Serpent Society and Marvel, but Copperhead is one that I used to think was Marvel, and he's number 88, my birth year.
Number 88 is
Copperhead.
I do love snake-themed things as well, and Copperheads were fun because they were like a magic. Anything that was like deserty snake growing up in New York was like, those are cool.
What is the they actually are from the South too. My mom had a pet Copperhead for like 2 weeks, and then she showed it to my great-grandfather, and he was like, that's poisonous, and he had to kill like my mom's childhood pet, and that was really hard on her. So that story came up a lot growing up, but it lived in the handle of a milk jug. Little copperhead snake.
Just a little milk jug.
Could have killed my mom at any point. Wouldn't be here right now.
Another duplicate.
Oh,
once
you got the
again,
dupe deck.
I pulled 54 Guy Gardner.
You got 3 dupes.
3 dupes in a row.
Still no dupes on my end. Number 62, Metamorpho.
62, Metamorpho. I'm assuming it's like Metamorph, but was the O at the end?
Metamorph.
Oh, yes.
Guy.
I know the guy. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know the name.
Yeah, Metamorpho.
Bald dude, 2 different colors.
Very much like Absorbing Man, perhaps.
I was gonna say a little bit of Zorby Manny.
Yep, got that there.
Already I have yet another great battle. 152, card number 152. I should make sure we didn't get this one already. We did another duplicate.
You got an entire dupe deck.
Millennium.
You got like 6 dupes out of 12.
This is going to be how hard this is as we get towards the end. We're going to be
We're
really
gonna have to
struggling.
buy them on eBay.
Alrighty. No buying.
No buying. It's
And
whatever amount of this deck it is. Yeah, no buying or giving. We're gonna see how complete we can be on our own.
What else you got?
All right, my final 2. This is a big one. Number 43 wasn't as big in 91, I guess. Cyborg.
43 Cyborg, and he's just regular. He's
Just
modern
Cyborg.
age.
No distinguishing.
Look
just
at him
Cyborg.
cyborging out.
Just doing the work.
I have card number 10 in the deck. Nice round number. We have our first Hawkman.
Oh hell yeah, good hero.
Our golden age Hawkman.
Solid
I'm
work.
assuming like 9 and 11 or somewhere around there will be the other ones.
Into it.
Golden age Hawkman.
All right, my final card is a villain from beyond. Still no dupes on my end. Number 139. Big favorite from the Suicide Squad. We got Starro.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Starro is acquired, y'all. Starro acquired.
We have our first Kaiji. What are they called? Kaiju?
We got our first Kaiju.
Man.
I mean, I guess if you look at 4 decks, 6 dupes, not bad. But the fact they're all back to back, not
wait
great.
a minute.
You got one more, right?
Oh, because of
Oh no, you went first.
I have one more. This
Okay,
is the
good.
last one. But I thought that it was a dupe, but it's not.
Oh,
Remember, you said you had a card B previously?
do you have A?
I got 160, the Great Darkness Saga, card A. So now we have card A and B of the Great Darkness Saga. So 160 and 162.
Big things popping.
It does weird that it just says the Great Darkness Saga again.
Yeah, it's just A, B. All right, well, that is going to do it for our unboxing of cards. We are how many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, 5, 6. So 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42.
I was right. 6 dupes makes it.
So we have 42 out of 180. So we are not quite a fifth there. Not quite a... Well, we're about a quarter there.
About a quarter there. because that'd be
Yeah,
168.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about a quarter.
So we're about
just
a quarter
shy of
there.
a quarter, and that's not bad in 4 decks.
No, not at all. But I have a feeling that eventually this is just gonna be like, oh, we got that one already. Well, what's gonna happen is eventually we're just gonna know the cards we're looking for.
Yeah,
the numbers,
and we won't look at that checklist till we're done.
No. The checklist
is hidden away.
It's in the back of the pile already here.
That's where it lives. Actually, the number's accurate for that.
This is fun. I can't. I hope we have a whole set.
Dude, 2 weeks.
It's gonna be so disappointing
if we're missing any.
Oh, we'll find out.
All right, when we come back and record, here are the next 4 decks. Very excited about it. All right, that's going to do it for this week, you lovelies. This has been a lot of fun going through our Litmus Test movies, some hotline calls, and the DC deck from 1991. As ever, please call in at 818-794-0722. That's 818-794-0722, or send voice memos to contact@koicast.com. Please do rate and review us over at Apple Podcasts. You can also just rate us over at Spotify. Both of those help the algorithm find us and whatnot. Check out koicast.com for merch. We got hats. We got mugs. We got masks. We got t-shirts. We got everything the body needs except pants, because that'd be weird. But, you know, you can get dressed otherwise. And then you can also hunt us down on social media at Koijandro and at Jake Lloyd Bacon. Use hashtag Koicast to get our attention. And we'll be crowning the patron unpunchable gift horse of the month next time we record and next time you hear from us. And if you're a patron, you're getting episodes every week because we are doing every other. We're splitting it up because Jake is going to be traveling and it's been a crazy month. So we have not watched as much. But if you're a patron, check out next week. If you're not a patron, we'll be back in 2 weeks and we will see you very, very soon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you, as always, to comic books, trading cards, and the importance of sharing art with your loved ones for existing.
Hi, I'm Jake Lloyd Bacon, and I am a lifelong pro wrestling fan.
And I'm Alexandra Hoy, a new fan of pro wrestling who was surprised to fall in love with it. It's much more creative than I ever gave it credit for.
Yeah, people sleep on pro wrestling, but it's so much more than most people think it is.
It's theatrics, athleticism, comedy, and decades worth of larger-than-life characters that I have to catch up on.
So what better crash course in wrestling history than WWE's iconic Royal Rumble match?
Every year, 30 wrestlers compete in one massive match, and we're watching all of them.
We pick a year at random out of our jar o' rumbles and watch it in real time right alongside you in our enlightening podcast, Me, You, and 30 Other Men.
So join us at meyouand30.com or wherever you podcast.
It's Dragon Wagon.